every Nigerian home has that very comfort food we usually have every Sunday, like that basic stew we do have every Sunday. If you haven't perfected your game in making Nigerian stew, let me teach you how to make it. Okay, now the first thing you want to do is to cook your pepper mix till everything is dried. So in this pepper mix, we have tomatoes, we have tatashe shombo, and the regular atarodo. Okay, I mean tatashe shombo, that's cayenne pepper and paprika, I guess, and scotch bonnet, then with your fresh tomatoes. I also have onions, ginger, garlic, and turmeric in this mix. Hence, while I was frying, I didn't have to add onions because I had a lot in this. So when it was ready, I just set it aside. In a different pot, I added my neatly washed chicken. Okay, I added my secret spice, which includes seasoning cubes and salt and some herbs, curry powder, and all of that. So I didn't have to add salt. If you notice, I added my chopped onions as well. I had to properly stir this to ensure that every part of the spices and whatever it is just mix up together. You get what I mean? Just stir it up till everything is properly mixed. Now you don't have to make your stew with chicken. You can use your beef, you can use goat meat, you can basically use any protein of your choice, but for this particular recipe I made use of live chicken. If you're old on my channel, you know how much I love live chicken. Now that is boiling on the other side, so we had to go ahead to make our stew. I added my olive oil, okay, which by the way you can add any oil of your choice. Okay, so in that I added my pepper mix, which I already cooked earlier on, to just take out the excess water in it. Now this is where the work is. If you want to get a perfect stew, I mean a stew that is not slapping when you're eating it, you have to be very patient. That is one. Second of all is you have to do a lot of stirring, because you don't want the bottom part to get burnt. Once it gets burnt, it automatically changes the taste of your stew. So you want to be very, very careful with whatever it is you are doing. Just ensure you are around what you're cooking, and just keep stirring. Personally, once I've started frying my tomatoes or my pepper mix, as the case may be, I do not leave the kitchen until I add my stock or whatever it is to it, because I don't want it to get burnt. Okay, once it gets burnt, it just automatically gives you a very bad stew, because the bitterness from the whatever will just enter the sauce. Now I decided to check up on my meat, and I realized I needed water, so at this point I added water and just covered it up. Now it's boiling at this point, so I just had to set it aside. Okay, now I continued frying my tomatoes. Now if you look at this very well, you can tell it is almost dry. Okay, you can see that the oil is separated from the pepper mix. That is when you know that it's ready for you to add your stock. Okay, now if you notice, after adding this stock, I never added seasoning cube or salt. The reason is because in the special seasoning or the spices I added to my meat, I ensured that I added enough salt and seasoning cubes, a pinch of salt really, and seasoning cubes, so that I do not have to add extra to the stew. But when you taste it and realize that it's not enough, you can adjust taste. Now I added the chicken I used for the stew. I also added a little bit of water just to loosen up the stew, because I felt like it was too thick. Okay, but when you've added your stock and realize that it doesn't need extra water, there is no need for you to add the extra water. Okay, just cover this all up after adding your water and allow it to just boil up together. And like that, you have your perfect stew. Some people do add a curry leaf or ugu to their own, but usually I enjoy it this way. Let me know if this is exactly the way you make your regular rice and stew for Sunday, or you add some twist to it. I mean, going forward I'll make other stew with twist, but this is the basic stew we do enjoy. Okay.